Welcome back to the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinion is biased except ours. This is our 13th episode of wasting our time doing this. I'm Colin.
I'm Craig.
And I'm Daniel.
Right. So last time, whenever we uploaded, we talked about the first two seasons of the genius and Emmy-nominated show Cobra Kai, and now we're here to finish talking about the latest two seasons, seasons 3 and 4, with season 4 coming out last December 31st, right? It came out.
Last year, technically.
Yeah,
If you want
last
to be
year.
like that dad joke.
So let's before we talk about season 4, let's talk about season 3. What do you guys think about it? Season 3.
Yeah, it was not on YouTube Red anymore. It was on Netflix. But again, like the first two seasons, no, it was good. I mean, I don't have except for the same characters we talked about last time. I mean, I liked it overall.
Other
Yeah,
guys?
yeah, no, I very much enjoyed it. It definitely, it's a common theme that they just keep upping the ridiculousness in it, which adds to my enjoyment for the show. But yeah, I mean, we talked about like the characters. Some progressed, some digressed, but we'll get into that.
I think this season, it just embraced it being a karate soap opera, which we'll talk about the ending of it, but it reminded me very much of episode 3 and the terrible writing in that. So, which is that's a compliment. That's not a backhand. I want to make it sound like a backhanded compliment. But I enjoyed season 3. It picks up right where it left off with season 2, and it just gets ridiculous and it doesn't hold back. So, hey Daniel, how about you give us a synopsis of season 3?
I knew it. Um, so season three, like you said, picks up where it left off. So at the end of season two, we had the um, West Side Story high school brawl breakout, and Miguel ends up paralyzed. So he's in the hospital. Robbie's on the run. No one knows where he is. So beginning of Daniel's story, he has to go track him down. While Miguel's story, you see him and Johnny trying to work out the paralysis. And meanwhile, Kreese is left in charge of Cobra Kai, bringing it back to its former glory. So it does. It's a ridiculous plot how they all intertwine, but um, it was. Um, yeah, it's ridiculous, but it's pretty good.
I think you're forgetting one important detail, where this is where Johnny starts to fall for Miguel's mother, too. So there's all these
Oh
little different
yes,
plot threads that are going on, like Kreese slowly taking more power in his influence in Cobra Kai and riling everybody up. There's Johnny and Miguel getting real close together, and Miguel's story of recovery, which is entirely improbable. I mean, whatever. And they're trying to find Robbie because he's on the run. They treat him like a fugitive, like he killed somebody. I mean, it didn't.
He almost did.
It didn't help that he ran from the scene of a crime. I mean,
yeah,
he hightailed it out of there as soon as he kicked him off a balcony.
and we're also forgetting the other subplot. Sam like loses her confidence after Tori like tried to gut her with the brass
Oh,
knuckles,
oh my god.
and so Sam's trying to regain her confidence the whole season.
Yeah, she always has these little like.
That's starting trouble.
Yeah, she's an instigator in this, but she has scars now on her bicep or her arm, whatever, from Tori, like having a wrist bracelet that turns out it spikes and it's really sharp.
Yeah, it's not just for show.
Apparently, Tori always has intentions of killing someone if need be. Just takes off the bracelet and can just puncture someone's throat with it. Um,
Yeah,
And
yeah,
how can you forget about Daniel-san going to Japan?
yes.
oh yeah. When you said like synopsis, I just wanted to give a brief overview. I figured we'd break it down, but
I mean, you could talk about that. Why don't you give a synopsis
uh,
of the Japan side quest?
oh yeah, because so eventually, Robbie Robbie eventually ends up going to juvie. Daniel, gets him to turn. Well, he basically tricks him into turning himself in, like forces him basically, and
which is the right
then
thing. I mean, I guess we'll get into it more, but like it was absolutely the right
yeah.
thing to do. He was Robbie's an idiot.
But after that, Daniel then, because he spent all his, he's basically neglected his home life, and now his very successful dealership. So his wife has kind of been left to to pick up the pieces. And while he's been doing all the Miyagi-Do and dealing with this, their competitor, what's that guy's name? Tom or
That's it. It doesn't matter.
but he basically is progressing where he's about to force them into like for shutting down the dealership. So Daniel's desperate to out because he was about to sign a dealership, right? Was it Mitsubishi?
It was like a fake car company, but it was like an
Yeah,
exclusive contract with that car company. Basically, like he can't sell
yeah,
their cars anymore.
yeah. They would corner them basically into shutting down. So Daniel, in a last ditch effort to get Miyagi wisdom and become Zen again, travels back to Okinawa, where he runs into his old flame from the second movie,
Kumiko.
and yeah, and he then also runs into she actually they run into Chosen, who if you forget was a man who he honked his nose at the end of the second one after he tried to murder him, and they actually ended up him and Chosen actually end up Chosen ends up helping him, and then Kamiko ends up because of her connections ends up helping him sign the deal with the dealership. So ends up saving his business, but it was just ridiculous that in the course of all this, like reality sets back in that Daniel, like the consequences of neglecting your actual successful business and marriage, like actually come back to haunt him for a little.
And I don't mean to critique you again, but you missed another big part where after the incident with the high school, that karate's kind of looked frowned upon in the valley now because of this.
Oh
That's what
yeah.
kind of leads to their dwindling sales at their car dealership because his whole motto is "We kick the competition."
Well, plus two, they're getting bad PR because his students almost killed somebody.
Yeah,
Even though both sides are trying to murder each other, like you're saying, like from the last episode, it's like it turns into gang wars.
Well, yeah, Tori starting the whole school fight, her brass knuckles.
Yeah,
it really could have been avoided if she just waited till after school to like intercept her.
But there's not enough drama in that.
Yeah, there's.
but
Uh,
but then also at the end, we can't forget the Christmas shenanigans where
yes,
Allie comes back into town.
Allie with an eye. Allie with an
Allie
eye.
and her and Johnny reconnect over Facebook. She comes back into town. How perfect timing that she's going through a divorce, that so her and Johnny can rekindle a bit while Johnny's also falling for Miguel's mom. And her, Daniel, and Amanda all meet up at this Christmas party, so they're kind of reminiscing a bit. And meanwhile, that's going on. Kreese sends his goon of students to break into the LaRusso home,
Home invasion, baby.
break in to the LaRusso home and attack Miguel and Miyagi-Do students, starting another gang war.
I think the funniest part of that is they hear like a cat noise, and that scrawny kid with the glasses like, "Oh, you left your kitty outside."
It's Bert or Nate. I
Yeah,
forget who's
and
who.
then Miguel says to Sam, "I didn't know you have a cat." We don't, and he just gets thrown through a kitchen window.
You would have thought like Jason or Michael Myers launched him.
Like, what high school bully would do that?
Home invasion. Like, why would Tori do that? She knows she's like on probation.
And the best is too is they kick down the doors too. It's not even like they like trick them like they open like ring the bell. No, they just kick in the doors, throw a kid through a window. It's all out war, man.
Yeah,
Karate's serious business.
yeah, there was definitely no holding back with this season. I mean, we'll talk about season 4, obviously, how more ridiculous
And
that
then
is, but
well it and not even that, it gets even more ridiculous. You think the Christmas fight's bad, and then after Daniel and Johnny find out what happened,
Oh
Johnny tries
yeah.
to go to Johnny tries to go to the dojo to like to stand off with Kreese to like fight him on what happened. he finds out Robbie's now training with Kreese.
And this is the
So he
episode 3 part where the way they're talking. It's like, you're at the
yeah
dark side of the Force. You're the chosen one, Robbie.
Dark side of karate.
yeah. So then Johnny goes over. He ends up fighting. He ends up Kreese basically pits Robbie to fight him. He fights Robbie off, beats Kreese, and then when Robbie he pushes Robbie, Robbie knocks himself out, so he goes to help Robbie. Kreese takes a broken piece of glass and tries to gut him and kill him. And then Daniel shows up out of nowhere, and him and Kreese fight, and he uses where Kreese tried to gut him too. They go through a window.
Yeah, he says like time for a family reunion or like time to see Miyagi. He says something dumb like that.
He tries to gut Daniel, then Daniel uses the moves Chosen showed him to like do temporary paralysis in like specific parts of your body.
Block
and
the
then
spear.
And then Daniel went to finish him off and kill him, and then the students show up. And then they all agree, for some reason, no cops were called, but then Kreese proposed the idea to settle it in the tournament, and whoever loses is out of the town.
The amount of crimes that were committed alone in that episode is astounding.
That one night.
Home invasion, breaking and entering.
Attempted murder.
Oh no.
Multiple attempts of murder. Child assault.
Oh no, I stand corrected. He tried to choke Johnny, then stab Daniel. He tried to commit 2 different accounts of murder.
I already came after you one time, but I must correct you again. That throughout season 3, there's this running storyline that shows Kreese's past and what happened to him in Vietnam.
Yes.
Because that it always intercuts with, how he was he was in a diner and they didn't really respect him. He goes to Vietnam, meets Terry Silver. He messes up and gives away his team's position, and then they're put in a Vietnamese camp. And you forgot that very big deal.
We also
where they fight to the death over karate. Like they make the POWs fight each other over like a pit.
We also can't. We also can't forget Kreese going to the school and different places to recruit these kids to come join Cobra Kai.
Yeah, that's a little rough. I remember, Craig, you had some criticisms about maybe a little bit of the ending of season 3, where you didn't like how Allie with an eye kind of solved everything for the guys, for Johnny and Daniel.
I mean, there's also, they kind of retconned the beginning of the second movie where Daniel's like, she cheated on me, dumped me, and wrecked my car, and leaving for some guy at UCLA. I mean, I didn't care for her, whatever, so the fact that she was gone didn't bother me. Apparently, it gets behind the scenes. That's their way of writing her out of the movie, and she didn't like that.
Well, she was like attending college, I think. I looked it up.
Yeah. She was attending college and didn't want to come back to film like a couple of scenes or whatever.
I don't blame her.
So, I mean, I guess she wasn't happy with how it ended, but I don't really care. I don't like the fact that she was the one that kind of brought them together, because the whole show is kind of like getting them, like, they have their differences, kind of butt heads initially, but they start to work together, and then things fall apart, and it's like this back and forth, and then she comes up and solves. I don't like that.
Like her cameo, like the purpose of her coming back, they're bringing everyone back, for a cameo. That's fine, but I think it was kind of redundant in the story, because you see Daniel and Johnny progressing throughout the season in different ways. Like they're bonding together. Like when they go to the bar, they get that drink.
They see they have more in common than they really
realize. And then also when him, Miguel's mom, and Amanda go out to dinner, and they start, the women are kind of the voice of reason. They get them to bond. It's like by the time Allie gets there, you don't need that last voice of reason. It's just kind of redundant. I must
stop you. It's Allie with an eye.
I hate you.
You're gonna say it right.
But yeah, I get what you mean. Like it was kind of like the way the way the season was for them, they were kind of getting over it slowly, but it was building there. You didn't need her to come in and be like, oh, let's just put our differences aside. Like, oh, it's mended. Like, no, it was a nice progression in the story.
Because, like, you want to see them do it themselves. Like, they're working through it themselves. You want them to earn that themselves. You don't want some character who gets introduced last second to be like, oh, you guys should get along. You guys have more common.
Yeah, it did feel awfully cheap.
Yeah. Because it wasn't even necessary. Like, they were already going towards that anyway. It's the natural progression.
Yeah, and that was the whole... Yeah. Well, we also can't forget in one of their bonding moments when they're both looking for Robbie. they get into that car chase with the guy, and they chase him down to like some rundown mechanic shop, and they fight those guys.
Yeah, they use karate to beat up a bunch of grown men.
But it actually looked like men of their age fighting.
Yeah, at least they weren't beating up children.
Yeah,
That's how low the bar is now.
yeah.
Every season, I expect one child to get beaten up at least almost every other episode. I expect that.
By an adult,
Right.
you mean, right?
Yeah, by an
Yeah.
adult, of course. Yeah, that's what I meant.
Yeah, this one I think they kind of aimed it more towards equal age fighting each other, or they tried to.
Yeah, this one, I guess, the first season I wouldn't say they played it safe, but they kind of stuck to a formula. And this one, by the time of season 3, they're just like, all right, let's go crazy. People seem to like this nonsense. Let's just do
Yeah.
whatever. Let's have it take place in a post karate high school war, world
Yeah.
like that.
I think the one character who was very like had a bloodlust was definitely Tori this season. I mean, she just kept like she would track them down wherever they were and try to inflict as much pain on them. She talked them into breaking Dimitri's arm in the arcade.
It's so
But to be
brutal.
Yeah, didn't Sam and them instigate that though?
Oh yeah, I mean, well, we could get to Sam later, but I guess if we're
Yeah,
talking about Tori now, like, I
yeah.
don't understand, like, her. I guess, things aren't well in her life. I get it, but she tries to act like the world's out to get her when she causes most of her own
She's just
problems.
putting herself in a bad spot.
Like, she's like, oh man, I have to, support my sick mom, but like, I'm kicked out of school. I'm like, you kicked yourself out of school by trying to kill somebody. I mean, and starting like a high school brawl. Like, no one told you to do that. I mean, you could be mad at, Sam for kissing your boyfriend, but I mean, no one told you to attempted murder or try to commit
Yeah,
attempted murder.
And it all
yeah.
could have been avoided if they just talked it out.
Yeah,
I've been talking, just like, don't do it at school at least. I mean, come on. And then again, like at the end of the season, like she helps attack them, like home invasion, tries to like kill them again.
but and that's the thing too. It's like we talked about last episode. Like with her, it's like why are you wasting your time and resources when you clearly have at home issues that you need to take care of? Like why are you on a bloodlust rampage after like other students? Like you find out she has like the creepy landlord that Kreese eventually takes care of,
He
but
throws the
like
chop off his finger.
Yeah,
yeah.
with the cigar cutter.
Well, that's the thing too. Just one thing about Kreese, he's always smoking these cigars, but isn't he supposed to be like homeless? I don't know where he's getting all this money for cigars.
Yeah, I mean, we touched upon that last week.
Yeah.
In
Well, also
season
in
2, you see
season
how much of a loser he is.
Yeah, and then at the end of season 3, because it'll you see it in the flashbacks. Eventually, it was leading to the point getting into they will get into season 4, but who they were going to introduce was Terry Silver. Because at the end of the flashbacks, like when they get out of that snake pit fight, he's like, "Thanks, man." Like you find out it was Terry Silver who he went in place for, and then at the end of season 3, he calls him because he needs backup.
Yeah.
Everyone's teaming up. We should team up.
We forgot to mention that. Yeah, Johnny and Daniel team up at the end to try in an effort to vanquish Kreese and Cobra Kai from the valley for good.
Rather than just call the cops.
I guess
I mean, like,
should we segue into season 4?
well, because I wanted to talk about like some of the characters. Like,
Oh, okay.
mainly, I wanted to just bring up, because like Daniel and Johnny, it's more of the same for them. Like basically we said last episode, it's kind of the same here. Like they're relatively the same characters, making the same mistakes and stuff. But like Sam is like just getting worse.
Yeah. Why don't you talk about that? Because I know you have a bone to pick with that character.
Well, we all do, but I guess I'll voice our concerns. She's just really like annoying and like she's always starting trouble. I think that's the big thing. She's trying to think, like she's how like was at the arcade. She like one of the Miyagi-Dos are getting attacked. She's let's go attack them first. Let's strike first, and then Dimitri's arm ends up getting broken. She sits in the corner and does nothing.
Yeah, she just
She's
watches it happen.
She's having like that
yeah.
panic attack. It's like she tried to like be a like put herself in a leadership role, and it just made things worse.
Or even when Daniel's son leaves to go to Japan, he was like saying, "Let's no more karate after what happened." She starts up Miyagi-Do to continue training, to continue to start trouble. Like they could have just dropped it, but she's like, "No, we have to continue. We have to escalate." And then
Yeah,
another thing too that irked me was when her dad was like, "Oh, you're dating Miguel again. It's like the fourth guy you've dated in a year. Shouldn't you maybe slow things down?" She's like, "Dad, I know what I'm doing." And like, no, that's a pretty reasonable thing. No sane person dates four different people in a year or goes through four different relationships in a year. That's just not normal. I mean, I know it's a like a soap opera thing, but not normal. Dad, I know what I'm doing. Like clearly you don't.
Clearly, you hate women. Oh,
Essentially,
I'm
yeah,
kidding.
essentially.
Yeah,
Eh,
she is. She's just an instigator. Let's just call her what she is. She's an instigator. She's a whiny instigator. How about that?
and then
yeah,
she plays the victim too on top of that. Like she'll start trouble and like, oh, but I'm the real victim here. Like I'm the real victim, even though Dimitri got his arm broken. It's like I think Dimitri had it worse. I mean, as much as we didn't like him, like that was definitely worse than you freezing and thinking about the time you had your arm cut. I
Well,
mean,
not only was his arm broken, it was broken by his former best friend.
yeah, he's
yeah,
like crying, like, please don't do it. Like, come on,
yeah.
please.
I think also too Robbie this season, Robbie as well as Sam both just like went on. They just started going down
Because
because he wrote
we're not sexist. We'll talk about how bad men are too.
Well, of
well because
course.
like yeah, because then like Robbie goes to juvie. He has a bully there. He eventually stands up to him. They make amends. Then he leaves, and then he's just kind of like he just it start and then it carries over into season four. But it's really like that "don't tell me what to do" attitude, and the actor's just so bland with it. He's just the same in every scene, like you said, Colin. He just looks so angry all the time.
I resent what you're saying. You mean to tell me that you don't like the acclaimed actor from He's All That?
Well,
Another great Netflix movie.
it's hard to stand in comparison when he's quote unquote acting next to Addison Rae.
Forgive me. Forgive me.
Yeah. All right. Their lip singing karaoke scene was phenomenal. Should have been nominated for an Oscar.
Yeah, Robbie is just a. I just don't like him. He is just. He bothers me. Yeah, it's the typical, a teen rebellion attitude where he thinks he knows what he's doing.
Clearly, he doesn't.
Yeah, he's just a mess. And
Because I
obviously, he was dealt a bad hand because he had two, neglectful parents. And obviously, Johnny didn't mean to. Johnny means well, but from a certain perspective, which we already talked about, but you can see where he's coming from. But Robbie just handles it so poorly.
I get why he's mad at Johnny, but I want to bring up like why he's mad at Daniel. Because Daniel, I guess he sent him to juvie, but he was saying if you keep running, it's only going to get worse from you. You have to turn yourself in. Like you can't run from this forever. You have to do your time for your crime. And Robbie's like, "Oh, you betrayed me." It's like, no, he's doing you a favor.
He
Like
let him
he's
stay at
trying to
his
get you a
house.
reduced sentence. Yeah. That's why I don't like him. Like he's mad at Daniel's like, oh, both are flawed in their own ways. I'm like, in some ways, yes, but I mean, are you really gonna tell me the one with the successful car dealership and like the successful family man who housed you is just as bad as the other one?
Yeah, Robbie's
Because he
just
sent you
he's
to
just
juvie.
stupid.
Yeah,
He's
like
just
that to me
stupid.
is like his like character like trait now, just stupidity.
There really just isn't any development for him. It's just the same role. Like he just doesn't progress or like at
He's getting
all.
worse.
Yeah.
He's devolving.
Because they even like Dimitri, like he slowly got better in season three and into season four. Like he actually progressed as a character. Like if he can
Breaking his
progress,
arm manned him up.
like I mean, like he actually like Sam and Robbie just somehow got worse.
Yeah, especially Robbie and Sam too. She's such an instigator.
And then don't forget the instigator and the victim. That's the like if she could at least be just the instigator, it would be not great, but a little more tolerable. But like she's the instigator and the victim at the same time.
Yeah. Should we move on to season 4? and then we can summarize both characters and their arcs of season 3 and 4.
Yeah.
Schmuck.
Oh, did you want to continue with something else?
No, it's okay.
Oh, okay.
See, I will note season 3 was missing Stingray, so
Yes,
we did.
It's a knock against it.
he was a character that was deeply missed. Hey, Craig, how about you summarize season 4 for us?
So again, season 4 picks up after the end of season 3, where we see the agreements Cobra Kai, Eagle Fang, and Miyagi-Do come to, where they'll settle it at the All Valley tournament. And it starts with Daniel and Johnny in their dojos trying to work together, but it eventually they can never get along. Their dojos separate, and Kreese recruits his old war buddy Terry Silver with Cobra Kai to strengthen their core, and they will settle at the All Valley tournament, and that's where the season ends.
Yes. I feel like season 4 we're going to, talk more specifically about because there is a lot that happens.
Yes.
I think definitely the funniest part of the whole season for me was, I think, the first episode when Kreese goes to Terry, and then he's like, "Yeah, it was the '80s, man. I was so hopped up on coke. I harassed a high schooler for a high school tournament
For months.
That was just the funniest line of the whole series, honestly, because that sums up how ridiculous the Cobra Kai is. Just that one line. I was hopped up on coke. It was the '80s.
Well, yeah, like the fact that I guess the self-awareness of it, he realized how ridiculous it was. Like harassing him for a month, like sending goons to like trash the bonsai tree shop and just join the tournament so we can beat you and give Cobra Kai its former glory.
Yeah, we'll hold you hostage on the edge of this cliff if you don't sign the papers.
Whose chair is that?
Is it making noise now?
Is that your desk?
It might be. Hold on.
Gotta get some WD-40.
Is it good now?
Yeah, sounds good.
Yeah.
Okay, let's continue.
Yeah, but because that season 4, especially with the addition of Terry Silver, because he starts off at first like when Kreese comes back to recruit him. Terry Silver first denies, he's declines it. He's like, no, like you think he actually became a realistic adult. He's with his girlfriend. He likes to play on the piano as if he's Beethoven. He has these extravagant parties with like tofu and all the
These weird vegans and Californians.
yeah. That scene was funny though when Kreese just shows up to the party unexpectedly, and he's like conversing with his like new vegan friends.
It's like, oh, Terrence.
I think.
What did that?
I was gonna say, I think, Craig, you missed a key detail with season 4 is that that was the very basic of it, but then there's this one continuing storyline where there's this young kid who actually ends up getting bullied by Daniel's son, Anthony.
I think I might have subconsciously left that on purpose because that was like my least favorite part of the season.
I actually didn't mind it that much because it finally gave the son something to do instead of being like some background character who's always playing games and
making like smart ass comments.
Yeah, I thought it was. Hold on. So again, like the bullying was also just entirely petty because
Oh yeah,
they cyberbullied him and they catfished him kind of.
yeah.
They went through all this effort just to embarrass a kid.
They didn't even know him.
Yeah.
It was all because the kid showed up Daniel's son in like gym basketball.
No, it was before that. I can't remember exactly how it started.
He was dancing on his first day of school outside the school bus.
Oh yeah.
He was like really into his tunes. He had like a Pop-Tart in his hand. And then he didn't hear the bus get there, and then they had to honk really loud. And then they all started making fun of him. Like, he was just dancing. It wasn't like he was doing something weird.
Yeah. Well, and then also then later in gym class, Daniel's son, like, he likes the one girl in class, and she was
What's
being nice.
Daniel's son's name? I forget
Anthony.
his name. Anthony. Okay.
Anthony, yeah. He likes this girl in class, but she was being very nice to the new kid, and then he shows up, Anthony in basketball in front of her, so that kind of just started the whole train wreck. Yeah, like, and then they literally texted this, like, kid, what grade are they in again?
I think they're 8th grade because they go on an orientation for
Yeah, for
ninth
Yeah,
grade.
they text this kid to, like, show up at a park in the middle of the night, like, dressed as his favorite, like, character from a game. Like, why would that kid go
Mr.
to a
Scribble
park?
Bottoms.
Yeah, like, why would that kid not question that? That's a little sketchy that someone's asking you to meet him in a park in the middle of the night.
Get in my van, kid. Yeah, it could be like a child predator. Like he's gonna like Chris Hansen's gonna try to catch this guy. Like, yeah, you're right. It was like a park in the middle of the night. Like he could get abducted.
Yeah, like, that's so extreme just to get back at this kid because he showed you up in basketball.
Yeah,
That show just has no sense of, like, or no ground in reality. It's just like, all right, whatever.
yeah. I kind of liked it, honestly. The side plot with Kenny and how he becomes a student of Cobra Kai under uh, Robbie's leadership.
Well, because also an important note from season 3, his brother was the one in juvie that was bullying Robbie, and then Robbie and him fought and, like, made peace.
Yeah.
It was just a little side note from the last season.
Oh, of course, of course.
Well, yeah, it's important because it comes back.
Yeah. Because he tries to join Cobra Kai, and obviously at first, Kreese just, like, rejects him, but then Robbie talks him into staying and teaching him. I mean, like, it's a, in terms of, like, actual, like, character arc, it's a good, arc. Um, but yeah, the bullying was just, like, it was so ridiculous.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they put so much milk into his locker, right?
Right, that was
Oh yeah. And then someone filmed it, and then just the words popped out, "Got milked."
the best when they bring in like Daniel and like Amanda to show like what Anthony was doing to this poor kid, and even the prince was like, "How'd you get all that milk in this locker?"
I mean, yeah. Aside from it being completely unrealistic in the sense that they just started bullying him for no reason. Let's say like Daniel getting bullied in the first movie made sense kind of because he was talking to Allie with an eye. You know what I'm trying to say? Like that kind of made sense why.
And he also tried to fight Johnny the first time they met. He, like, punched him.
Well, he did shove Daniel to the ground.
Yeah. No, but, like, they got into a fight, and,
Yeah,
it was over
It's
a
got
girl.
physical.
It made sense why there was that friction, but they just bully him for no reason other than they seem to like picking on new kids. Like he literally has done nothing to them, and it felt weird at the end where they try to make you sympathize with Anthony when he was getting beaten up. I'm like, no, he was being a scumbag. He deserves this.
Yeah.
I guess I just didn't really care because, like, I guess that every season they introduce new characters, but like these are probably, I guess, some of the weakest new characters.
I think it's hard when there's, like, in the grand scheme of the show, when they bring back Terry Silver and, all the other ridiculous plots going on. Like, this one is more of a sentimental one, and, like, but it definitely takes the back road on, like, the grand scheme of the show.
Well, also, I
But
think too, it's like a lot of this, a lot of how these kids get into karate, they get bullied, right? Like we've seen this so many times, not just throughout like the Karate Kid trilogy, but also the show. Like, Miguel, Dimitri, Robbie, all of them, they've all been bullied. Like we've all seen this before. Like, so I guess that's part of it too. Like this is really nothing new they're showing us. It's just, well, now Daniel's son's the bully. It's like, okay. I don't know. It's just I don't care.
it's really just another byproduct of Dana neglecting his family duties as a father.
Because Anthony never got Miyagi. He didn't know him, so that's why he's awful. Because yeah, that's like he made it like, yeah, all you guys talk about is karate. I'm like left out.
I guess Anthony didn't get the memo how much karate means to the valley.
Well, he seems to like pretend to know karate. He's like, "Yeah, show me your karate moves." Like, no, I can't. They're lethal.
Yeah. These fists are registered weapons. I could go to jail.
Yeah, like Daniel's like, show him those moves your dad taught you, those Miyagi moves. As if they're like such celebrities there. Get it?
Yeah, you win one tournament in the '80s, and you're super rich in the future, and everyone loves you.
Well, I did my life differently. I would have entered karate so I could win a tournament, be rich.
You
Yeah,
have to you have to win an all Valley under 18 tournament. That's the key.
But do I have to under 18?
Yes. Imagine like Stingray shows up to teach a bunch of kids.
Oh, that would have been great because he does come back. Like he was, that was another great to see him again. Like he was
Oh
at
my
home.
god!
I
Like
forget what episode he's introduced in, or he's reintroduced in
I
season
think
4, but it is hilarious when he first
it
appears. Where you
it
think
was
he's
pretty late. I think it was
yeah,
like 7 or 8.
you
Like he
think
was
he's living
introduced
this
pretty late.
lavish lifestyle in this nice house, and his neighbor just scolds him and calls him a loser.
Yeah, you do karate with like high schoolers. Like those are your best
Yeah,
friends.
you don't have any friends your age.
You have a job.
You're unemployed. You live in your sister's house and she doesn't like you.
My favorite moment of the season was the when they had prom, and then he sneaks into the prom and is like whispering to the kids like, "Yo, party at my house," as if he's underage with them, like they don't want his parents to find out. And he throws the post prom party, having all these minors drink in his house, and he's partying with them. And then his neighbor shows up because it's too loud. And he's like reasonable. He's gonna call the cops because all these kids are underage drinking. And then Stingray beats him up in front of the kids and throws him out of the house and keeps partying.
Oh, I love Stingray. Like I don't think people like him, but I think he's the best.
I don't know
Like
how you cannot like him. He's
like they played straight like this weird man-child loser who's doing karate with high schoolers. He has no self-awareness.
Not
It's
only
great.
doing karate with them, he's partying with them.
Yeah, twice. This is the second time he's been caught partying with them. It's like, yeah, these guys are my best friends, man.
yeah,
Uh,
it's pathetic.
didn't he show up to the prom like in a tux, or was he dressed up?
I just remember him like snaking around a corner, not trying to be seen.
Yeah, as if he was actually underage too. But
Sting.
I mean, the main story arc or character to focus on the season was definitely Terry Silver's just how you thought he was like, oh, he's past all this, and then he just slowly, just not really slowly, he just quickly descends into madness, back into madness.
He comes
Yeah,
back, his old self comes out.
he was pretty level-headed throughout the whole season when he was with Kreese.
Like at least like what was like the first half, maybe
Yeah,
2/3 he was level-headed.
he was he was trying to be a good sensei. He wasn't acting like some wild animal foaming from the mouth. You
Yeah,
know,
because like Kreese was trying to like, you gotta strike first, gotta get revenge, and Terry Silver was like, "Why are we getting revenge for? Like, we thought we were leaving that in the past. Let's focus on actually
Ter-
helping these kids."
well, Terry Silver too, like even tried to go over to Daniel and actually reason with him, but Daniel was so stuck in the past on the from the third movie. Then that kind of started Terry Silver just like, all right, now he said to Kreese, he's like, all right, now I want to see like the look on that prick's face when they lose. Like that kind of started it, his
I can
descent into
understand.
madness.
I do understand why Daniel would be upset. The last time he saw this man, he did try to kill him, so I
Yeah,
can see why you'd maybe hold little bad blood over that.
yeah. But either he's telling everyone like he knows about Terry Silver. He's like, don't mess with the guy. He's bad news. Like you would have thought like this guy like got Daniel hooked on heroin.
I guess he did torture him for a few months, but I guess it ruined the bonsai tree dojo. That was basically Miyagi's heroin.
And also throughout the season, as the trailers for season 4 showed, that Johnny and Daniel can't teach karate together because their styles are very different. And Johnny leaves to go do Eagle Fang from like a meat locker or something. I don't know, some rundown place.
Yeah, I didn't like that part because like I get, they're not gonna they have their differences or whatever, but even then, the fact that they couldn't even like just be on the same team to get enough points to throw them out, because
Yeah.
that was the dumb thing. Like they couldn't just be like, okay, we'll train differently, but register as the same team, whatever,
What the
so we
thing
can have
was,
enough points to
though,
win the tournament.
I guess the reason why Johnny was acting like that was because Daniel was spending more time with Miguel,
Yeah.
and Johnny didn't like that.
Yeah, Johnny's, his
Yeah.
bad character traits come out.
Well, also, yeah, because Johnny was also, dating. He was officially dating Miguel's mom, and now Daniel was like helping out with the car. He was teaching Miguel how to fix a car, teaching him how to drive and everything. So,
And teaching
but
him new forms of karate.
yeah, it was just that was the one, like, my one little knock on season 4 was just like any good karate master or student would clearly see that it's easy that both are fighting styles. You just take the best of both worlds, and of course, it took till the last episode for them to see that. But you obviously, any good form, you would have a good sense of offense and defense. You don't need to just go completely one or the other. But
I
that was
think
like the only thing.
I think
You bring up like a good sensei would, at least see that, Dino's not hurting Miguel anyway by fixing his car, or teaching him how to fix a car. Like it's beneficial to teach him that. He's not stealing him from, Johnny's not steal or Dino's not stealing him from Johnny. He's just trying to help him.
I
But
think
it's also
Terry
he's dating his
Silver
daughter.
as a character masked up a lot of the flaws with season 4, because Johnny and Daniel not being able to work together felt very counterintuitive, because we already seen that before. That's what the first 3 seasons were like kind of all about. They
Yeah.
can't make amends, and then when they finally do, they go right back to the same way. And it felt redundant. I didn't like
Yeah,
that really.
like it honestly, it kind of reminded me in the last fight where Daniel finally turns to Sam when she's about to fight Tori. He's like, you know what, use the best of both worlds. Like he says something along the lines, do offense and defense. Like it was like really like you really had to save that for that moment. It felt like when we saw Hobbs and Shaw, and when they looked at the camera, there's 2 of us and 1 of him. Like you didn't come on, like you didn't have to do that. Like we get it. It was redundant at that point.
Because I really feel like season 4 could have been the last season, but I guess it's been too successful. They have to keep it going.
Well, when they announced season 4, it was announced with season 5.
Okay, I mean,
So I
I just feel
knew,
like
I figured, I kind of suspected how it was going to end season 4.
Yeah,
so
and
I didn't know that because I feel like this would have been a good season to end it, where Daniel and Johnny they get over their differences, they can drive out Cobra Kai from the valley and get their happy ending.
yeah,
But nope.
and
I'm just saying
yeah, and
because I felt like he had a good run. It was the
yeah,
successful reboot. It could have ended it well, but it makes it
yeah,
too successful.
they were kind of hinting at this, and I hope they don't do this going into season 5. Like, where obviously Kreese gets betrayed at the end by Terry Silver, who's masterminded this whole plan to take over Cobra Kai by himself. Um, where you kind of see, like, I hope they're not leading into now Kreese is going to come back
You
and
know they're
work with
going
Johnny and
to.
Daniel. Yeah, because even like in that one part where Kreese invited Johnny over to that to where they had the original Cobra Kai, and he like beats him up, and he's about to like basically kill him, and then Kreese shows mercy on him. Like I'm like, are they going to really try to have Kreese be a good guy in the end of all this?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't like. I feel like Kreese can't be a good guy. Like shows like these, like you kind of have to have somebody not be redeemable. Like I understand why like the kids are redeemable because they're still kids, but like Kreese, yeah, he's had a tragic backstory that shaped him who he is. But like at this point, he's 70. He's set in his ways. He's not changing, and just there's no harm in letting him stay as a bad guy. Because at the end, like what is he doing? Like teaching evil karate?
I mean, him going to prison is only going to backfire on Terry Silver because Kreese will be roommating in prison, waiting to
Yeah.
strike.
He'll learn defense in prison.
Well, for his sake, I hope so.
Well, because he'll master the best of both worlds too to beat Terry
He's,
Silver.
he's gonna start up a prison Cobra Kai.
Oh my god, could you imagine?
Can you imagine this like a prison sequence like from Austin Powers 3, where they all just start singing and dancing in the prison? Yeah.
He comes out. He comes out. Prison changed me.
I think what's also funny is that Terry Silver's master plan is just to franchise Cobra Kai along the valley. That's all he really just wants to do. Is just make it a big company.
Which
We can't for.
noble goal, I guess, but it's like, is that it?
That's all he wants to do.
Yeah, karate has such a hold on his life. Like he literally said to Kreese, he's like, "You've awakened something in me." I was like, "My God."
Yeah, it's like you awakened my demon inside of me.
I'm telling you, it's like he got hooked on like you would have thought like he gave him like cocaine and it reignited his addiction.
Gave him morphine. But the
Yeah,
reason why, what's his name? The reason why Silver betrays Kreese is because it goes back to a lesson that Kreese is trying to teach. Like, oh, I don't like have weaknesses or whatever nonsense that was. And then Terry Silver's trying to say like, no, everybody has weaknesses. And then that's when that friction begins. And then he finally goes full circle and says, Johnny Lawrence is your weakness, Kreese, and you're my weakness. And then he gets rid of him. A little elaborate for a Karate Kid thing, because then he beats up Stingray, who returns back to Cobra Kai,
Not knowing like how everything's changed.
and then Terry Silver bribes him after he beats him up to rat out Kreese, even though Kreese had no idea this happened.
It's like, John, what did you do?
Yeah. Oh yeah. That was like Terry Silver's like. Yeah. He's like doing that sadistic smiles. He's beating up Stingray. You want to be in Cobra Kai? Like he's the Joker. Just beating him up horribly. He just. I also love that we can't forget the scene where he's gonna join Cobra Kai, so he very dramatically puts his hair back in the ponytail.
Which is probably a wig. It looks like a wig.
I thought it was real hair.
Sometimes it looks like a wig.
I think that was. I mean, because he had long hair in the original. It didn't seem like he lost
Well,
hair.
just because you have hair 30 years ago doesn't mean you have hair, 30 years later.
Also, like we said, he's supposed to be like 30 years older than Daniel, and he's somehow a year younger than Ralph Macchio.
He's younger than Ralph. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Every time I'd just see him, that'd always run through the back of my head.
He's older.
I am excited though for season 5 because as we saw at the end when
we have to talk about the end because we didn't really get to that. So there's the All Valley Under 18 tournament. Obviously, they're split into different fractions. It's Cobra Kai versus Eagle Fang versus Miyagi-Do. And again, like Craig said earlier, they really screwed themselves by not just communicating and saying, like, we have our differences, we have to come together and just beat him by having more points. That's all it comes down to, and they're just being stupid.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, they didn't have to be, like, on the same team. Just go under one, name for the tournament and you'll win, but no. Because they would have won.
Yeah.
But...
Yeah.
And, well, so...
Miguel fights against Hawk, who had his mohawk shaved, so he kind of doesn't have an identity anymore. He doesn't know who he is. He's having a midlife crisis at age 17.
He needs to find his balance.
Yeah, he got his head shaved and that was it.
But, it comes back, looks like he was, like, violated.
Oh, God.
No, like, when he comes back, he was, like, embarrassed by, like, not having the mohawk.
Yeah, like, Dimitri had to go to his house. Like, Hawk wasn't even in school. Dimitri had to go to his house and, like, talk him back into it. But
he was like, "You got me into this nonsense. You're not walking away." But I want to say, like, Dimitri got better. Just a quick thing about Dimitri. Like, ever since he got his arm broken, he was like a million times better. It's like,
then he got like the girlfriend, and then
he's not whining anymore.
Yeah, so like that moment with him and Hawk where he's talking him back into it, like that was a good friend moment. Like he has those small moments where his character you can root for him. But at the end, I don't know if anyone felt this way, but when obviously the tournament goes, Eagle Fang, they don't, their students aren't as good as Miyagi-Do, so they kind of lose out. Where it comes down to Cobra Kai and Miyagi-Do fighting for the individual guy and girl tournaments. I felt like Robbie and Hawk's fight went on a little too long. Did anyone else think that?
Oh, well, it went to sudden death. So
For the tension, because you don't know who's going to win.
I think I don't mean to backtrack a little bit, but you forgot one important detail. Miguel gets hurt when he fights Hawk in one of the first rounds.
Oh yeah, and he didn't come back out.
Yeah, he chose not to come back out because then he realized that Johnny doesn't wants him to win for him, and Miguel felt like he wasn't fighting for himself anymore. He was fighting for someone else, so he just leaves.
He needs to go find his father.
Yeah. But not Miguel. Robbie fights Dimitri, and Dimitri actually holds his ground a little bit. Still loses, but it was a valiant effort by that lanky guy. Kenny, who we talked about earlier, fights against Robbie, and Robbie just he first goes easy on him, and then he just doesn't he do a spin judo kick, and he kicks him right in the face.
Yeah. Because Terry Silver was like, "What are you doing?" And you see the monster inside him coming out. Like you got to fit no mercy. So then Robbie just beats him down, and then he goes into the locker room, and then Anthony tries to make amends. Apologize for his bullying. I wouldn't say making amends because he was just bullying him. And then he just beats him up in the locker room.
Yeah, and that's when Robbie comes in, and that's like a moment of, what have I done? He's like, I tried to steer this kid on a path, and now, Cobra Kai, it's a gateway drug, I guess. I don't know.
It's gateway drug to bullying.
But, yeah, no, I mean, the Hawk, I will say, though, the choreography, at least for the Hawk Robbie fight, was good, I thought.
Yeah, the fights were definitely better in this season.
Yeah, I was going to say the choreography was definitely that's why I was like, I know in our previous episode, the first couple seasons it was but it definitely got better, especially by season 4. It actually looked like they were training.
Yeah, I mean, because they've probably been doing all this choreography and, training sessions with professionals.
You get
a couple years now, ever since the first season. So yeah, they look a lot better. They come a long way since that terrible fight scene in season 1.
And then Hawk actually beats Robbie in the final fight.
Yeah, they take their gis off. I don't know why.
Well, it's the All Valley sudden death, Colin.
Oh, yeah.
All Valley sudden death. Shirts come off.
That's right. I forgot.
Show off his tattoo.
And you can't forget that lonesome Hawk cry when the tattoo's shown.
And then Tori, who again, we forgot a little, I guess, side plot where Amanda, Daniel's wife, embarrasses Tori. He goes to her job and pretty much calls her out, saying, "If you do this or do that, I'll call the cops and whatnot." That gets
that's like call her. She threatens her. She's like, "You will not touch a hair of my daughter."
That's a better word. And I think the only part, and this is obviously intentionally cringy, was the part where Tori was like some mermaid for a kids' party. I was like, oh no, oh no. I don't know about you guys, but for me, that was really hard to sit through.
That was.
I know that was the point. That's the point, but
Well, I was going to say another, let's say, bad moment for Sam was when Tori's clearly at a job very demeaning and that she doesn't like. And then Sam's there basically just bully her the entire time. It's like she has it bad enough. Again, starting trouble. You can just let it go, but no, she's got to instigate, and then she plays the victim.
Especially when Tori this season was going out of her way to avoid Sam on behalf of Amanda. Well, because Amanda was trying to help her out, so Tori was respecting the wish of staying away from her, and then Sam is
of the cops. But
yeah, well, then she ends up, she learns her backstory. Then she's actually trying to help. Then you see she's actually trying to help her out with school and stuff. So it does turn good.
Recommends her to a doctor, or
Yeah.
Like something like that.
Yeah, so
A
it starts out
therapist.
as it
Yeah,
starts out as a threat. It starts out as a threat, but then Amanda actually tries to help Tori, like straighten her life out. But then like Sam is just relishing in it, like really just antagonizing her. Like I guess it's supposed to feel like like she got her confidence back and like, but it's just comes off as like no, you're just like antagonizing this girl.
yeah. You're antagonizing her, and you're unprovoked doing it.
Like clearly she's not happy, but you got to really just dig that knife in, don't you? Because I want to mention another like low light for Sam, just while we're gonna pile it on. I think it was one of the earlier episodes where the Dojos were still merged together and like they were having dinner together, Johnny and their family and the Russo family. And Daniel was saying like, "Oh yeah, maybe one day you'll inherit my dealership." And she was like looking at it like that's a horrible thing. Like, okay, he was first off he was kind of joking, but like to inherit a successful business, like you act like that's the worst thing somebody could do to you. Like, oh my God, my parents hate me. They left me a successful business. Woe is me. Like anybody would want that. Like her entitlement and like it's so annoying. Like it's reached like
Well,
critical
her
mass.
she also became like Robbie, like especially in season 4. Like it's like the don't tell me what to do. I'm my own person. Like it just was, it was annoying.
Who was even telling her to? Like, he was like kind of joking. Hey, maybe one day you'll take over the. It wasn't even like saying like, yeah, Sam's going to inherit the dealership. She's gonna do it whether she likes it or not. Like he's pretty like he's their father's pretty open to letting her do what she wants. I guess career wise, it's more of just, hey, maybe this wouldn't be a bad idea, right? And it's not a bad idea. Like, well, because it's good to have a parent leave you a successful business, but she doesn't understand.
Oh,
Hey,
another
you probably
good thing about Robbie. Yeah, Daniel, you go. Then I'll go after you.
well, I was just gonna make a point. Like she was probably she probably get like a full ride to college and then come out and then have just a successful business waiting for her.
Oh
That's real
no,
tough.
that's the worst thing in the world. Oh my God.
Does
And
Sam's
like
dad hate her? That's the real question.
like even it gets even worse because when they're training when they're on that rooftop, like Johnny was saying, like, if I did whatever my parents told me to do, I would not be where I am today. I'm like, that's a good thing. Like you
And
would have no
why would she
reason.
take that? Why would she take that advice from him of all people?
Yeah, I know I'm doing what I love. I'm like running a very unsuccessful karate dojo.
Like you see what the karate has basically almost like it almost ruined like at one point in season 3 like Daniel and Amanda's marriage was like in turmoil. The business was possibly going to go out. Like you see what this karate has done to people's lives. Why would you want to go that route?
Or even like Johnny's life, like you see how much it's ruined him, and like she's like taking advice from this man. Like he's any like obviously he can teach karate and like help apply it to life, but like stuff like this where if I listened to my parents, I wouldn't be where I am. Like that's a good thing, Johnny. You're a loser.
That's what I was going to talk about. Where I forget when it was in season 4, but I think it's either when Daniel or Johnny confront Robbie, and he's like, "I'm using both of your karates to better myself." He was talking like this, learning 2 forms of karate is like a way of life.
He's learning the light side and the dark side.
Yeah,
Oh yeah,
yeah.
yeah,
That's
yeah.
the
He said
that again. That's like the episode 3 flashbacks. Where I'm like, oh my god, oh my god, it's so ridiculous.
yeah. No, because I think Robbie also said the lines of like, because they were warning him about like, Cobra Kai, especially with Terry Silver being there, like, don't be influenced by him. Like it's addicting. Like they're literally saying it like they're describing like a drug. Like, oh, it's addicting. It can make you feel good. And he's like, don't worry. Like basically saying like, oh, I'm playing everyone. I'm doing my own. I'm doing my own thing. Like,
It's like Spider-Man 3, where Peter's
The
trying to convince
symbiote
Eddie to get rid of the symbiote. It's like, I know what it feels like.
feels
All that
good.
power. I know what Cobra Kai feels like, Robbie.
Feels
Feels
good.
good.
But you lose yourself.
and then they show flashbacks of Daniel dressed as like Bully Maguire.
Then you hear like in the back when he like punches that kid in the at the club, you hear no 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 no.
Or Daniel just kicks a random kid. I'm gonna put some dirt in your eye.
See you, chump. Now we're getting sidetracked.
Yeah, no more Spider-Man.
So characters, I guess we could get to because we kind of talked a lot about.
Wait. We didn't touch on a very important part of the ending of season 4 that's gonna lead into season 5.
Oh, of course, of course, of course.
So
Well, there's a couple
obviously,
things you have to mention.
so so Sam ends up losing to Tori um, in the
Good.
tournament. So Cobra Kai stays. So Eagle Fang and Miyagi-Do have to get disbanded. Um, Miguel ends up leaving to go find his dad. Where was he, in like Mexico City, something like that, right?
They're Ecuadorian.
But I thought he went to Mexico though.
Well, I think he has to go through Mexico to get to Ecuador.
So Johnny, Johnny now promises Miguel's mom. Miguel left a note, so Johnny now is going to go find Miguel. Um, and then Tori, on the way out of of the building, somehow a door is cracked and she hears Terry Silver talking with a ref. Basically, the ref threw the match so Tori would win. So Terry Silver got a high school All Valley tournament fix so Cobra Kai could stay. He ends up getting Kreese framed because he got Stingray to say that Kreese beat him up. So Kreese gets arrested for assault and gets taken off to jail.
What'd
And
you
then
do, John?
And then so Daniel, in the in the ruins of what was once his dojo, you see him monologuing to Miyagi's tombstone and how he's gonna fix this and fight everything. And then he says, it has some, are you with me? And then the camera pans to just Chosen standing there and then slowly walking towards Daniel, and they like shake hands. So Chosen's now back to help Daniel right all the wrongs.
And that is amazing. I don't care what anyone says. It gets you hyped up with Chosen, who was a vicious young karate gangster, and now he's going to help Daniel take down Cobra Kai, the franchise now.
Well, because we didn't really talk about Chosen from season
Yeah.
3, but like,
I was gonna say a funny one of my favorite things, just when you think about like the years behind this thought of in season 3 when Chosen was showing Daniel the karate moves and he like temporarily paralyzes him, and he does the like live or die thing, and then he honks Daniel's nose and just starts laughing. Like I just thought about like Chosen probably waited 30 years to honk Daniel's nose as revenge.
we have to go even further back because the entire like when he first met Chosen like had like his arms crossed like across his chest and was like being mean the whole time, like being very standoffish up until he honked his nose. When he honked his nose, he was like, "Oh, I'm just messing with you, man." Because he thought he was like really holding a grudge this entire time.
That's why they call it acting.
But yeah, I'm excited now for Daniel and Chosen to team up.
I think
going
you
into
also
season 5.
you forgot a little bit, a little detail in your synopsis.
Which one of us?
Daniel. And it was, I think, was also really funny is that when they lost the tournament, when Sam lost, everyone was so sad. It's just like they lost a war, like an actual war that they just lost. And he's like, I thought I did everything right, Dad. Why did we lose? And he's like on the verge of crying. I don't know, Sam. It's just so funny.
Like, is it real?
Oh, another thing that's actually important that you did forget about Miguel is that he's going to look for his dad, but as Miguel's mom explained, his dad doesn't know Miguel exists. So that's a big detail.
And his dad's also like, I think it was hinted as a criminal.
Probably a drug lord or something,
But like, I don't really remember why he wanted to look for his father. I mean, he never knew him his entire life. You feel like Johnny filled that role for him. Like, I don't know what he would find looking for his father. I mean, I know when Johnny was drunk, he said, "Oh, I love you, Robbie," but
Ooh, that was tough.
yeah, that was a tough scene. But I don't know what he's gonna really like find looking for his father. It's probably gonna be disappointment.
Well, that's when he probably will go back to Johnny, and then he says like, "I love you like a son." I can
You're
see
my real
that.
father.
I could see that happening.
Johnny's gonna train him on the
Fix your
Aztec
car.
temples. He's gonna train him there. They're gonna do their montage.
And
I don't
Johnny's
think,
just gonna. He's
I don't
probably
think those temples are in Ecuador.
I could have sworn they were going to Mexico.
Well,
He's-
to get to Ecuador, you have to go through Mexico.
I thought it says on the Wikipedia that he's heading to Mexico City to search for his father.
Oh, because I remember
They're
that,
Ecuadorian, like the grandmother. They're all.
but I think the dad lives now in Mexico
Yeah,
City.
yeah.
That's why he was going there.
Because I remember they made like Johnny, or was it Kreese said the Mexican kid? He's Ecuadorian. Kreese like whatever, it doesn't matter.
Well, no, Johnny made that mistake too. He got them like a bunch of. I think he's like a stereotypical Mexican food, and then the grandmother says in Spanish like we're Ecuadorian because he said like this is what you guys would eat, being very clueless. And
He got like
the mother said he got like what was it like
he got like store bought pasta sauce or something like their salsa.
Didn't he put like use recipes from Chili's?
it was like Chili's or Tostitos or whatever.
But his heart was in the right place.
Oh yeah.
Like again, he's just
That's
a
how he wins
caveman.
everyone over. 80s caveman.
Should we talk briefly about characters? I feel like we did that a little bit. We'd mention a character, we talked about them.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, like Daniel and Johnny are like it's more of the same, really. They really don't change for the most. I mean, I guess Johnny's getting better, but like still, he's got his his stubbornness. He keeps sabotaging everything good in his life.
For me personally, just looking at season 4, it really felt like a step forward than like 2 steps back. Because in a way, they're kind of right back where they started prior to season 4 with like the feud going on. And
Yes,
maybe,
like for the main characters at
yeah,
least.
maybe you can. I mean, I'm just talking about like very basic, like the premise and the conflict is right back where it started. And maybe you can say that there isn't much you can really do moving forward, with these characters, and there's only so much you can do with a karate feud.
This has to be the final season coming up. Like, I mean, Craig, you made a good point. Like, they could have very much ended the show in this season.
Because I felt like everything was ready to be wrapped up at the end of season 4. Like the way season 3 was set up, the way season 4 was starting. I feel like everything's gonna be wrapped up at the end of this season.
Especially too because they built it up like, oh, we're gonna finish this in the tournament, like how a karate movie, they would figure they would end it, but nope.
Because again, like I like the show. You always want to go out on top. Like as cliched as that might sound now, it's much better to go out on top and people wish there was more than like something like Game of Thrones where it ends so terribly and no one misses it. It's like we're glad it's gone.
Yeah,
Like you don't want that.
you want to end
want
at
the
your
show to end
peak.
like that.
You want to end at your peak.
Yeah, don't do what Marvel did with Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah, but also too, like especially for this show where it was a horrible idea on paper. Like, who wants a Karate Kid reboot? It ends up being very successful. People like it. Don't run into the ground and I guess ruin it
Yeah,
by having it went on too long.
Season 5 has to be the last. I think maybe they probably know. I mean, also you have to take into account that the cast is getting older. Like Miguel especially looked so much older.
He looked like he gained weight. I mean, not to be like his face looked chubbier.
Yeah, but
yeah, because
it has to be the last.
Yeah.
Also, too, like you're saying, they looked older. I mean, this takes the whole show, like first 4 seasons, to take place over what, like a year and a few months.
Yeah, it's supposed to take like season 4 took place in 2019.
Yeah, because I mean, so I think the show starts what, like in
2018.
September. Yeah, September 2018, and then season 4 ends at December 2019. So it's only over like a year and a few months.
Yeah, Miguel.
And I'm assuming they're probably doing like continuous shooting, like probably not too long of a break.
Didn't they? I think they're shooting season 5 soon, right? Or did they reshoot it?
It's a little more tricky now, given the circumstances. But I'd imagine they are filming soon, at least.
Yeah.
Who knows?
But yeah, I just hopefully they can wrap it all up in a nice knot. Just don't have Kreese become a good guy. Leave him as he is.
Yeah, and hopefully, again, I mean, I think it's kind of impossible for season 5 to be a retread, at least in terms of basic plot of season 3 and 4. You know?
That's why I think the show like it's good because it's not like season one was a retelling of the first Karate Kid, but like the next three seasons weren't. It's really much its own thing, which
Well, that's what I was saying though. Like season 4 felt like, a step forward, 2 steps back. That it's kind of the same where they're still feuding. Just
oh yeah, but I mean
minor changes to everyone's affiliation. I don't know. I still liked it. Don't get me wrong. I still like season 4.
Oh yeah, no. Hopefully, we'll get more Stingray in season 5.
Yes. Any
we'll
last
use the more
words? We're
Stingray.
a little bit short of time. Any quick closing thoughts?
Guess I agree with your assessment. Season four, like entertaining, but like it's starting to run its course. Should have ended.
Yeah,
It should have been last season.
yeah. Like this, and after season 5, like don't.
Because like this season, it could have Robbie could have redeemed himself. All the people could have Cobra Kai could have been done. Daniel and Johnny, their feuds over. Hawk redeems himself. It could have been wrapped up nicely, but had to keep it going.
We'll see. They seem to surprise everybody.
Yeah, maybe we're not giving enough credit.
Yeah. I think they'll probably have one big surprise. They make you go like, "What?"
Next season they're gonna. Next season they'll bring back Kreese's commanding officer. He somehow survived the snake pit and he wants vengeance now.
Oh, they bring back Mr. Miyagi and like a ghost,
please don't.
like Harold Ramis in the new Ghostbusters. He's just full CGI.
That's when they're really desperate.
Karate Ghost.
Then they make up a spin-off movie based off the series The Karate Ghost, like you said.
But yeah, well, I have high hopes for season 5 though.
I'm definitely excited to see it. That's the most important thing.
Yeah.
Season 4 didn't make me like, oh god, I don't want to see this thing.
Oh no, I agree.
Yeah.
All right, well, I guess that's it.
Yeah,
I'm
we'll
Colin.
be back next. I've been Craig.
And I'm still Daniel.
Yeah, unfortunately. Yeah. Batting average wasn't too great today. That's okay. But that's a bit...
If I'm 3 out of 8, I'm 100% though.
But this has been the Unbiased Opinion, where everyone's opinions is biased except ours. We'll see you next time.